Welcome back to Crypto Front. This is the front line where we are fighting for financial freedom. We want to be taking a look at the JASMY price at one more time. Of course, sentiment is really bad at this point in the market. A lot of people have kind of given up on the market, like interest is super low and all that great stuff, right? But I think it's very easy to be bearish when the price action is kind of slow, and you tend to forget like the bigger picture that we have here on the JASMY price chart. I still believe in the price targets that we talk about all the time here on the channel, and I'm just going to show you like what is happening in the immediate short term. Of course, we are also going to be talking about those long-term price targets, because I think right at this point we need that kind of conviction back in the market, right? So a lot of people are kind of doubting the market. They are doubting the bullish case scenarios that they were having like just 2 weeks back, because of this kind of dump that we have seen here on BTC. But coming back to JASMY here, I think still on daily time frame we are looking at this range that we have been in the last update that I was making. I think 2 days ago I was saying that, look, yes, we have risen above 36%, 40% here on JASMY. It's fantastic, but the fact of the matter is we are still stuck in that range right there with JASMY. So yeah, we are seeing that right at that 0.5 Fibonacci retracement one more time. We are getting that rejection. I should actually adjust it like this so that you can see exactly what we are talking about. And you can see that, yeah, it was that Fibonacci retracement level one more time, rejecting the price. So yes, with JASMY, yeah, that's still the case right at this point. Nothing really interesting both for the bears and the bulls, because the price action here is more like a washing machine, up down up down up down, stuck in that range right there. But we have got some encouraging signs, obviously, as we are heading down right at this point, that we have got some kind of support level right at something like 1.73 cents right there, 1.75 cents here for JASMY, as I was just mentioning in the last video, and we are back at those levels right. Now what we see here is that we have got like weeks right. This level, people are buying a lot of JASMY right in these levels, but the question remains, are we gonna pull all the way back to our main support levels at around something like 1.5 cents here for JASMY? I think that's the question that really remains. But right at where we are sitting right now, I think it's also a good support level here for JASMY, and we can see the price starting to turn around. But if we want to take a look at a few indicators here on the RSI, remember we are saying that for the worst case scenario, right, we want to see the RSI dipping to something like the lowest that it can go. Why it shouldn't go below this level 38. If it goes below 38, I think that there are more troubles in the market, right? And you can see that we dipped to something like 38 right here on the bottom, and we started pulling ourselves back within that trading range, obviously. But right at this point, we are going down one more time. We are sitting at something like 44, still pretty good. 40, 38 is where we want to see a bounce if the whole thing is to bounce back from the support levels by there. But obviously from the bullish case scenario, yes, we are rising to the upside, but the RSI is proving to be a little bit weaker this time around. We were even rejected right around something like 56. What we want to see is a break above something like 60. But as I was saying, we have got some encouraging signs. I kind of deviated from what I wanted to say right there, but the encouraging sign here is the MACD. As you can see that we have been pointing out that, look, this first initial crash that we had right there, the momentum was really great in terms of was big in terms of like the downward momentum, right? But the second time, you can also see that momentum to the downside was slowing down. It was getting weaker, and then the third time rise here even got weaker than that. The fourth time we just recently experienced even got weaker than that. So now we are starting to try and build like upward momentum here, and we just head across. But it can take a few days, obviously, to continue building that momentum right there. But I think that if any positive signs start showing up in the market, we can see JASMY doing something that is great right there. When I'm talking about positive things, let's take a look at the Bitcoin price chart, for example. We are seeing here on the daily time frame that we are also stuck in some kind of a range, although we had something like, maybe it's a fake out, whatever the case may be. We want to see if we can get a bounce right at this point, right? With BTC, you can already see that we have tested this level before 1, 2, 3 times already, and back testing it one more time could prove to have something like a bounce right there for BTC, and that can also be an encouraging sign for altcoins as well. So obviously we know that JASMY outperforms Bitcoin, so if BTC finds some kind of a bounce right there, that's going to be the same story here for Jasmy as well. But we want to see if we are eventually going to get above this level here of something like 2 cents. But should we go 2 cents, 2.3 cents, I mean, it's off to the races. We need to break the resistance like as soon as possible, and we will have the momentum to do that here for Jasmy. But I mean, taking a look at the general market conditions as well, we want to take a look at maybe something like total 3, which is basically the market cap of altcoins. And you know, let's go ahead and try to exclude some you know, stable coins right there, like USDT, right? If we exclude the USDT, and then we also exclude here maybe USDC, right? Because those ones are counted as altcoins when they're actually not. So yeah, we have subtracted those ones. Let's see what we get right there. We have a structure like this one here on a daily time frame, but let's go to the weekly time frame, so to the 4-hourly time frame actually, and you can still see that I mean, this is really something that we have seen before in the market, this kind of crashing structures. And yeah, I mean, the honest truth is that we are stuck in a range right now, and these are the most boring periods in the market, to be honest with you, because price action is really not doing either of the two, right? It's not pumping to the upside, it's not going to the downside as well. And you know, people get bored because you see for up like 5% today, down 6%, tomorrow up, you know, 2%, the other day down 4%. So it's gonna be a little bit boring, right? And this is indicating that we need more time in the market. If anything, this is looking more like the early stages of a wag of accumulation pattern here, where you can see that you know, this maybe is your preliminary support right here. You're selling climax, your automatic rally is this one right here, or maybe this one there, and here could be your secondary test. This is maybe a secondary test in phase B, so you know, it's really too early to call. This is gonna take some time. Maybe towards the end of this month we have a clear picture as to what is happening right there. But what we just don't want to see is that the price is not getting like low to these levels one more time right there. So if you want to go ahead and try to measure in terms of percentages, that's something like a 12 point something percent. But on your favorite altcoin like Jasmy, for example, you know, maybe that will be something like breaking this support level right there. It's also something like a 16-15%, right? So I mean, when it comes to support levels, we are buying Jasmy, right? In actual fact, I probably would be buying a little bit of Jasmy right here, because it seems like it's a minor support level, obviously, but sometimes it's a matter of like fortune favoring the brave. And probably this is okay, because as we just been pointing out, like the moves at the downside have been getting weaker and weaker here, at least when it comes to the MACD. So probably there is you know, some sense in buying Jasmy right at this point. But you know, this is just with the short-term price action here of Jasmy. Long-term with Jasmy, as you know, a lot of people maybe know, we are still looking at something like this right here. I mean, this is like crazy price action on Jasmy. You can see Jasmy was at some point at $5, but obviously we know that the dilution of the tokenomics you know, made the price to crash all this down, right? So usually I always say that if you're looking for something like a 50x, a 100x, a 25x, you should look at a structure like this one. Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, can you imagine? We've been talking about Jasmy since 2021. The year is 2024, and we have had to experience this right now. So maybe for me and some other people who have been in Jasmy, I think you already like have something built in you that you know what, whatever happens. I mean, we have been here before, and if we survive once, definitely we are gonna survive this one too. In actual fact, the good thing is right now we are actually up maybe something like 7x from the very bottom, and that is okay. That is definitely you know, an encouraging sign. But what is it that I want to point out with this structure right there? As I was just saying, that if you are looking for that 50x, 10x, I mean, maybe 10x is a little bit low for this one, right? The 25x, you should be looking at exactly at this structure here with Jasmy. So I'm just going to show you one example. I mean, I always show you maybe 2, 3, 4 examples with the same structure, but let's go with the best one, right? That really represents that structure right there, which is Cardano, right? So that's ADA. Let's go to ADA here, USDT, Cardano. So take a look at this Cardano structure back in the day. This is between something like 2018 and 2020. I mean, the bull market right there. So if you look closely, you just end up seeing that we have this similar structure that we have here on Jasmy, right? I mean, if I'm to go back to the Jasmy price at one more time here, you can already see that I mean, these are it's the exact same thing, right? And you can call it manipulation, you call it whatever you want to call it, but you know, the bottom line is that we pretty much have this term structure. I mean, take a look at these sharp corrective waves to the downside. You have got a rally prior to this thing haul flattening out right there, and then look what eventually happens, right? So I'm telling you, it's not easy to be holding this thing throughout this whole time. I mean, take a look at this. We have actually lived these moments with JASMY, and that's what has kept me going. And I'm sure a lot of you have also been kept going, because we have been talking about this structure also for some time. I think maybe it's almost 2 years at this point, and it looks like we are going just according to plan, right? So eventually what we want to do here is we want to draw best case scenarios and worst case scenarios here for JASMY. What we usually do here is that we go ahead and grab our Fibonacci retracement 2 from the very top of the structure right there, and to the very bottom of the structure. And what eventually happens is that we see that Cardano was super close to something like the 2.618 Fibonacci extension level. I mean, we can go ahead and look at another example, which was like the best case scenario, right? So I mean, memorize this number, 2.618 Fibonacci extension level. Now let's go to the king of altcoins, which is Ethereum, right? The almighty Ethereum, and let's see if it's doing anything that JASMY has been doing. And you can see that yeah, during the same period as well. Obviously you have to adjust it a little bit. You see a similar structure, right? I mean, those crashing webs to the downside. You've got this rally, like when you really hit the bottom right there, but obviously that is just a rally before this whole thing flattens out. Take a look at what eventually happens right there. So coming back to JASMY, I mean, we see pretty much the same structure right there. Again, using the same approach, grab your Fibonacci retracement 2 from the very top right there to the very bottom. I didn't catch that nice and easy. Let me repeat that one more time. So from the very top right there to the bottom, you end up seeing that Ethereum managed something like a 3.618 Fibonacci extension level. So coming back to JASMY as well, and doing the same thing, let's draw the best case scenarios before I get maybe into the worst case scenarios right there. So take a look at JASMY, same structure. Even from a time frame perspective, it's really going well. So the 2.618 was the Ethereum one, so that will be taking JASMY to something like 86 cents. Then the best case scenario, and probably the most unlikely one, we are looking at Ethereum, which is $1.20 here for JASMY. That's fantastic, that's really nice. But it's not only these structures which were like exhibiting this kind of a structure. We also saw things like SIA coin. Let me go ahead and show you here SIA coin. So SIA coin was exhibiting the same structure, and just take a look at it, right? So yeah, sometimes maybe it's possible that JASMY doesn't get above this level here, which we are treating as the previous all-time high, like relative to those other structures like Ethereum and Cardano. Yeah, it's possible that JASMY may not get above something like you know, here 33 cents maybe, right? Just according to the SIA coin structure right there. But what people didn't notice with this structure is that from the very bottom here to where it eventually got, even without like reaching its previous all-time high, it managed something like a 90x. It outperformed Bitcoin, it outperformed Ethereum, and a whole bunch of other altcoins, which I mean, we really talked about, and those may be big powerhouses. But you know, it did it without even getting to its previous all-time high. So if you want to go ahead with Fibonacci retracement 2s one more time, from the very top of that structure to the very bottom one more time, end up seeing that, you know, it was just shy of the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level. But we also have another worst case scenario right there, which was Neocoin. And with Neocoin, you ended up seeing the same structure as well here that we are seeing with JASMY, right? So let me refer to the JASMY price up one more time, and you can already see that we're looking pretty, I mean, much the same thing right there. Look at those sharp waves to the downside one more time before you hit your rally, before this whole thing capitulates and goes into somewhat of a straight line right there. It's basically the same thing that we are seeing, right? Look at this rally prior to this whole thing flattening out and failing to get before, I mean, ahead of this previous high. So if you grab your Fibonacci retracement 2 one more time from the very top right there to the bottom, you see something like the 702 Fibonacci retracement level right there. So should JASMY go ahead and do something like the 702 Fibonacci retracement level, we are looking at something like 23 cents. This is the worst case scenario for JASMY. And now from, you know, where we are with the JASMY price up, right, I'm not saying that maybe you should be buying right now, but I just want to point this, like put it into perspective, right? Let's say you would buy JASMY from where it is right now and riding it to something like 23 cents here. You would essentially make something like a 10x. Now, if your worst case scenario is 10x, I mean, what more do you want in this market, right? Yes, there are a lot of exits that you can be targeting, right? You can be targeting that 702, you can be targeting something like 33, so you can be targeting something like 50 cents. A lot of people have been talking about it, and to be honest with you, I mean, it doesn't really look far-fetched for me, because that around that level here is also like the 1.61 Fibonacci extension level, and that's the golden ratio. Usually this level is like a very easy target for these altcoins. Most of these, I mean, take a look at things like Fetch AI. I mean, when even gold itself, like just last week, it was hitting, not last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, it was hitting that 1.61 Fibonacci extension level, and this is where usually the magic happens by this. So I'm pretty much confident here with JASMY. I mean, if these are the worst case scenarios, I mean, I think we can just be ready for all the best case scenarios. So the best case scenarios was 86 cents, as well as something like 100, sorry, I'm saying 120, $1.20 here for JASMY. So I think I've mapped out the whole thing clearly. I mean, we are looking at something like 23 cents at the very worst case scenario. Obviously, it really doesn't feel like that right at this point, because the market is pretty much beaten, and you know, we have a lot of things happening. Sentiment is down right at this point, but you know, this is how usually these things have played in the past, and I think we pretty much are going to experience the same thing, right? The market doesn't change, although we want it to change time and again. But let me just also make you aware of one scenario that probably you wouldn't expect to hear from me. But you know, as I've been saying, that this whole thing was a wake-up accumulation pattern. Yes, it was terrible to go through, but eventually we managed to go out of this one, right? So yeah, we had a back test of this trading range, but you know, for me, really, I'm not 100% satisfied. In the worst case scenario that the market really goes bearish, where I would be expecting to buy JASMY back and be super bullish is 1.1 cents, 1.1 cents, 1.2 cents, thereabout. So let's see what eventually happens here. Should we hold this support level? I mean, forget about it, but should we break this support level here at something like you know, 1.5, 1.4 cents, JASMY, the next price target that we'll be looking for, if the rest of the market is also really that bearish, we'll be looking at something like 1.2 cents. So I think I've covered the bearish case scenario and the worst case scenario as well, and you know, I also talked about the best case scenarios that we have here with JASMY. And you know, I'm always optimistic. I've been optimistic throughout this whole thing, and being pessimistic right at this point really probably doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So yeah, that's obviously what I have, but you know, this is not financial advice, it's just my own opinion. But if you like the content, don't forget to tap the like button, share the video with your friends and family, and then I'll have to see you on the very next one. Take really good care of yourselves. Bye.